So students, today we have to discuss constitution, why and how, and in this we were talking about the proposals of the cabinet mission plan. How did they propose the method, or on the basis of which method the members of the constituent assembly must be elected. In this, they according to this plan, first of all they provided the ratio of the population that the candidates must be elected, the members must be elected in the proportion of the ratio. So, and for the purpose they provided the ratio 1 to 10 lakh. We have discussed all these in detail. Secondly, they demarcated the population into the three categories: general, Sikhs, and Muslims, and everyone was supposed to have the representation in the proportion of their population only. Third method was third. This was planned by. It was provided by cabinet mission plan that the members of each community or the
in the provincial legislative
legislative
assembly elected their
own representatives by the method of proportional representation and with a single transferable voting system. Now here we'll get, this is the very basic concept of political science and you must understand this. There are the two kinds of method. In fact, one method is known as the territorial presentation. What do we mean by territorial presentation? Territorial presentation is when we elect the representatives. Yes, please. Yes.
Ma'am, it might be.
Yes. In fact, there are always the method we could opt any one method out of the territorial presentation or out and the proportional representation. So what do we mean by the territorial representation? This is the method in which one representative is elected from an area defined by the geographical boundary, which has been defined as a constituency by the election commission, okay, on the basis of geographical boundaries, and one seat is allotted over there, and we elect the one representative from that particular area. It is known as the territorial representation. Territorial territorial representation works on the concept of FPTP, first past the post system. I hope all of you have discussed all these in 10th standard also, this concept, first past the post system. And in our country, on the basis of territorial representation and FPTP, first past the post system, the elections of Lok Sabha, elections of state assemblies, all these are taken place on the basis of this representation. Now we come on the proportional representation with that of the single transferable vote. So these are the indirect elections even today, the elections of president, vice president, and आपके राज्य sabha's elections and state legislative council elections. All these are indirect elections, and these elections even today take place on the basis of proportional representation along with the single transferable voting system. So now first of all, we'll just see what is the proportional representation. As we had discussed that the proportion was taken in the ratio of the population. So this method is adopted to give the due representation in proportion to the population to maintain a balance between the number of seats and the percentage of the votes. Getting it? As all of you know that one of the proportion was selected. Suppose if we had the population of 10 lakh in any of the constituency, in any of the area, in any of the provinces. So in the proportion of those 10 lakh, we could elect, or the members could be sent to the constituent assembly only one. Now suppose we had seen, if we had the population of 1 crore, in that case, from a particular province, we could elect, we could send 10 members. So this what's the 10? 10 is the proportion of the population. It means all those 10 members are representing the 1 crore peoples from their particular provinces. Getting the point? So this is known as the proportional representation. I hope the things are clear. Yes. Now we'll see what do we mean by single transferable voting system. What is the single transferable voting system? Proportional representation is clear to you all? Any confusion? Yes, say something, yes or no, students? Yes,
No,
children?
ma'am.
Any confusion? Everyone has get what do we mean by proportional representation? Or would you like to note down? Would you like to note it down? What is the proportional representation? Write
Yes,
down.
ma'am.
Write down. I'm just speaking. Write down. Proportional representation gives representation in the proportion of population. In the proportion of population only. And we have discussed the example also. Why do we opt it right now? We opted just to maintain a balance. I'll explain all these in detail when we'll come on the topic. To maintain a balance between number of seats and percentage of votes. That's why we opt the proportional representation method. This is the advantage of the proportional representation. When we'll discuss the elections, we'll discuss all these. What's the difference between the FPTP and proportional representation, which is the better one. All these we'll discuss later on. We won't discuss this here. And now we'll understand what do we mean by single transferable voting system. What is this? Single transferable voting system. In brief, I'll just let you know what is this. Okay, but we'll explain when we'll discuss the president. I'm just giving you an idea about this only. Suppose just a very basic thing. I'm just telling you how does it work, the single transferable voting system. Suppose when the elections for the president took place, at that time, now we are talking about single transferable voting system. This is single transferable voting system. How does it work? What happens in this system? Suppose we have the 3 or 4 candidates. Suppose presidential elections have to take place. If we speak in terms of the presidential elections. So we had the 4 candidates. Which were the 4 candidates for the presidential elections? Let us know. Number 1, Ramnath Kovind. Ramnath Kovind ji had been there. Okay. Second candidate was Sumitra Mahajan was there, if I'm not wrong. Sumitra Mahajan. Third candidate was there, Meera Kumar. And the fourth candidate was there, Venkaiah Naidu. Here I am giving you very much basic only. Okay, we'll discuss all these later. Venkaiah Naidu. Suppose we have all these 4 candidates for the presidential elections. Now these elections have to be taken place on the basis of single transferable voting system. Suppose Ramnath Kovind ji. Every member, these are the contestants. Okay. And every member, the members who have to voted upon for the candidates, for the contestants, they will give their preferences. Suppose here we write first preference. First preference, in short I am writing PREF. Then second preference, right? Second preference. Third preference. Okay, suppose 3 preferences they have to give to all these 4 candidates. Now, out of these candidates, suppose I'm the member and I have to give the preference to all of them. Suppose I have given my first preference to Mr. Ramnath Kovind. I've given the first preference to Ramnath Kovind ki as per me, if any candidate has to be elected, has to be selected for the president, for the post of the president, so Ramnath Kovind is my first preference. And after that, suppose I have given, I'm a member only. Okay. Suppose I have given second preference to Venkaiah Naidu. Suppose. Second preference, my second preference is to, I'm sorry, I'll just write it here, है ना? First to Ramnath Kovind, और इसको मैं थोड़ा सा shift कर देती हूँ. And second preference I've given to Venkaiah Naidu. Third preference I've given to Mrs. Meera Kumar. Third preference to Meera Kumar, and fourth preference I've given to Sumitra Mahajan. Okay, suppose I'm the member and I have given all these preferences as per the candidates. These are my preference. I have given the first preference to Ramnath Kovind ji. Second, I've given to Venkaiah Naidu. Third, I've given to Meera Kumar, and the fourth I've given to Sumitra Mahajan. Got it? Now, suppose like this, rest of the members have also given the preferences. Suppose all of you are also the member of the assembly and all of you have also given yours preferences. Getting the point? Now, on the basis of all these preferences, suppose Ramnath Kovind ji got 40% first preference. 40% of the members gave first preference to Ramnath Kovind ji. Got it? And they have given 30% to Venkaiah Naidu. 30% they have given to Venkaiah Naidu. Got it? And then first preference to Sumitra, to Meera Kumar is 20%. Is 20%. And to Sumitra Mahajan, they have given only, how much is left? How much is left? Beta, don't annotate, all of you are not allowed. 10. Yes, 10 beta.
10%.
So, Yes, 10% has been given to 10% to whom? Who has been left? Sumitra Mahajan. Suppose 10% first preference has been given to Sumitra Mahajan. So this is the record of the first preference. Now what we'll do, out of all these first preferences as per the percentage, who is getting the least percentage for the first preference? Who is getting? Who's getting the least? Yes, very good. Sumitra Mahajan is getting the least percentage. So what would happen? Sumitra Mahajan will be automatically out of race. One candidate is out. Got the point? Are you getting my point or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, this 10% votes, all these would be demarcated in the rest of the members because Sumitra Mahajan is out of race now. But her 10% votes, these would be demarcated among these three. Suppose these 10% has been demarcated like this. Maximum has been given to Ramnath Kovind. Suppose this 10%, out of these 10%, 6% have been given to Ramnath Kovind. To Meera Kumar, it has been given 1%. 1%, 6-7%, and Venkaya Naidu to 3%, 3%, sorry. 3%, okay? They will get the advantage whatsoever the second preference would be there. This 6% would be plus into them. Sorry, it would be plus. Got the point? Got the point, everyone? What is the single transferable voting system? Have you get it? Wait, first of all, we have seen the first preferences. Out of the first preferences, the person who is getting the least percentage of votes, her or his votes would be demarcated again in the rest of the three members, and or that percentage would be added on into his or her second preference. Got it? Who will get the maximum percentage the person will get? Okay. Later on when we'll discuss the elections of the president, there we'll discuss it in detail. Okay, right now I've given you an idea only what do we mean by single transferable voting system. What is this? How does this work? Got my point? So now we come on the point. So third method was given by the cabinet mission plan. The third provision was that the members to the constituent assembly would be elected on the basis of proportional representation and the single transferable voting system. Okay. Now we come on the fourth provision. The fourth provision was the method of selection in case of representatives of princely states was to be determined by consultation. Princely states ko they have left up to the princely state that all of you can consult together mutually and you can send the members. Fourth provision was princely states. How many members were to be sent by the princely states? How many members they had to send? We discussed previously. Yes. How many members were supposed to be sent by the princely states? Yes.
93.
Yes. Got it? So princely states, what will the princely states do? They will send the members by consultation together, by mutual consultations. Would send members by consultation. Got it? So all these were the proposals or which were provided by the cabinet mission plan. Okay, these were the 4 provisions. Got it? Now we come on the next topic, the composition of the Constituent Assembly. Here we'll discuss one thing. We have one question here, the 3 factors that make a constitution effective and respectable. How far does the Indian Constitution pass this test? You have one question. This is the page number 16 of the NCERT. Okay. All of you should go through this. I'm just coming on this again. So we have one question here. This is important questions. It's repeatedly asked in the examinations also. It's just asking 3 factors before we go to the composition of the assembly. Before this, the question has been put up. 3 factors that make constitution effective. What are these 3 factors? What are all these 3 factors which are making the Constitution of India effective and respectable? Keep remember, these 3 factors are number 1, equality. Number 2, all of you know that in the under the head of mode of promulgation, we had discussed some substantive provisions. We discussed all these points over there also, if you remember. Equality, liberty, and third is fraternity. If the question is put up, all of you have to explain your answer on the basis of all these 3. It means we wanted to establish a political democracy. That was the different thing. By the Constitution of India, the Constituent Assembly made the efforts to establish a political democracy. That had been the different case. But along with the establishment of political democracy, the members of the Constituent Assembly or the Indians were working on the establishment of the social democracy also, because they felt that without establishing social democracy, it won't be possible to establish a political democracy. As in the words of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, I'm just reading it out. This is exactly in the word of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. This is on page number 15 of NCERT. Please go through this. I'm just reading it out. It means, what do we mean by social democracy? Because we are working on the basis of social democracy, the makers of the Constitution wanted to establish social democracy as well, along with the political democracy. So what do we mean by this? So in the words of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, I'm just reading it out. It means a way of life which recognizes liberty, equality, and fraternity as the principles of life. Because all these 3 factors, these are the principles of life. These principles of liberty, equality, and fraternity are not to be treated as separate items in the Trinity. They form a union of Trinity in the sense that to divorce one from the other is to defeat the very purpose of democracy. Liberty cannot be divorced from equality. Equality cannot be divorced from liberty, nor can liberty and equality be divorced from fraternity. Without equality, liberty would produce the supremacy of the few over the many. Equality without liberty would kill individual initiative. Without fraternity, liberty and equality could not become a natural course of things. This is your homework. All of you have to explain the extract into your own words. In your own words, and I mean it. Please do not copy from anyone. You have to explain all these. The basic concept behind this, that the members of the Constituent Assembly or the makers of the Constitution, they never focused only on the establishment of the political democracy. They always worked on the social democracy also. And to establish the social the democracy, these were the main three factors on which they had to work out. As per Dr. B.R. Ambedkar also, we could see, without equality, we cannot imagine liberty and fraternity. If and without liberty, in the same way, equality is useless. And in the same manner, without fraternity, equality and liberty cannot be availed. It cannot be achieved. So you have to explain along with examples the extract in your own words. This is in the box. We have already shared the each chapter with you all. So you are supposed to work out on this. Now we come on the next topic, the composition of the Constituent Assembly. Next topic is composition of Constituent Assembly. We'll see the timeline first. All of us know one of the plan was proposed on 3rd June 1947. What was this plan? 3rd June 1947. Lord Mountbatten brought the plan for the partition of the country. Plan for partition of the country. All of you know very well that at the time of independence, our country was partitioned. What were the two parts in which it was partitioned? Yes, partition of India. Which were these two parts? India and Pakistan.
Pakistan.
Okay, got it? And they started to work. Now what happened here? Partition of India was a very painful transition for the country. It was very painful. We'll study all these in standard 12. This is the chapter 1 in class 12. Okay, we learned many lessons from this partition. Okay, so what happened? Now Constituent Assembly was also partitioned consequently, because it was declared that the Muslim majority areas would automatically become the Pakistan, and the Hindu dominated areas would become automatically Hindustan or India. So what happened? In this way, the Constituent Assembly was also partitioned. The areas which went under the constituency of Pakistan, they became the part of Pakistan, and rest of the part remained with that of India. So by now we had the 389 members in the Constituent Assembly. After partition, we had only 299 members in the Constituent Assembly of India. Now I'll write here after partition. There I had written down before partition. Before partition, how many members were there? Okay, I write before partition and after both together so that you could get it. One marker important. Before partition, how many members had been there? 389 members had been there. Okay, we had seen the demarcation, and after partition now, after partition, there were only 299 members in the Constituent Assembly of India. So how many members went to Pakistan Constituent Assembly? How many members had gone? 90 approx? Approx 90? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
है ना? Approx 90 members went to the Constituent Assembly of Pakistan. So like this, Constituent Assemblies were also partitioned, and Constituent Assembly of India had started the work on the Constitution from 9th December, from 9th December 1946, and it continued to work till 26th November 1949.
40.
No one has gone through the chapter today. All of you are not responding today at all. What happened? What happened to Neil, Sanjana, Yashaswika? No one is participating today. No one has studied. Yes. So how long this period was? How long the constitution took in framing?
Ma'am, it took 2 years, 11
2 years,
months,
11 months, and 18 days.
2 years,
11
11
months
months,
and 18 days.
and 18 days. Well done. Very good. Now all of you responded. Good. Keep it up. Okay. And after the constitution was framed on 24th January, 1950, how many members signed on this? How many members signed on with this? 284 members.
84.
Yes, 284 members signed on it.
This was officially the last meeting of Constituent Assembly.
Very good. Okay, so 284 members out of 289 members, 284 members signed on this. And after signing on 26th January 1950, Constitution was enforced. Constitution came into force. Now, all of you will be thinking that the signatures had been already done on 24th of January. Still, we waited for the 2 days. What was the reason? Why did we wait for 26th of January only? It was supposed to come into force on 24th of January. Then after the signatures immediately, but still we waited for 2 days, 26 January 1950. What was
Yes,
the reason
ma'am.
behind it? Yes.
Can I?
Yes, please.
Actually, before we got independence, our independence was announced on 26th of January, but it took more time, and then later on we got our independence on 15th August. So this date was important. That's why the Constituent Assembly said that we will enforce our constitution by 26th January 1950.
Good efforts. What happened on before independence on 26th January 1930 under the leadership of Motilal Nehru? It was declared that he just proclaimed that we'll celebrate the complete freedom. It was for the very first time. So 26th January has always been important to us. So we just wanted to bring it into force on 26th of January only. Getting it? So that's why we choose 26th January 1950. So we waited for the 2 days more, and it came into force, and we celebrate 26th of January as what do we call this day? Independence Day. Do we call it Independence
Ma'am,
Day?
Republic Day.
Very good.
Republic
Republic Day. Well done. And we celebrate it as Republic Day. And when do we celebrate Independence Day?
Ma'am, 15 August.
15th August. Very good.